Hello and welcome back to Not a Watch Snob. I am your host Bill, and today we are getting digital, baby.
Let's get digital.
Wrong decade. Stick around.
If you like seeing new watches and getting your wallet great, if you want a gold Rolex, but your wife might complain.
The history of this watch is as follows. The brand Bulova was created in 1912 by Joseph Bulova when he launched his first ever production plant of watches. The factory was located in Bali, Switzerland, and he began to standardize mass production that was brand new to watchmaking. Later on, Bulova established its operations in Woodside, New York, and some of the company's horological innovations include the Bulova Computron, which used a tuning fork as a means to regulate time in 1962. Then, in 1972, Hamilton introduced the Pulsar, the world's first LED watch. But Bulova answered back and released their own digital watch called the Bulova Computron in 1976. It gained widespread popularity for its unique shape nicknamed the trapezoid. However, it turns out that the designers did this on purpose. They placed the LED screen on the side so that you wouldn't have to roll your wrist to tell the time, let's say while driving your beautiful muscle car down the Sunset Strip, which is a pretty cool innovation if you ask me. The specs of this watch are as follows. The case measures 31 millimeters wide, 40 millimeters long, and 13.8 millimeters thick. The movement is of course LED, its crown is a button, the glass is mineral crystal, its functions are that it has 2 time zones, shows the day, the date, and the seconds. There are 2 different ones. There are the stainless steel and the gold-plated one, and they both have a 2-year-long battery life. Now, they also made a black rubber one, however, that wasn't one of the original reissues from 1976. The pros and cons of this watch are as follows. Pro. I really like the style of this watch. I think the shape is something that you don't see very often in watchmaking, so I think it's going to be one of those watches that is definitely going to call attention to itself when it's placed in my collection, as well as wearing it on my wrist, and I just think it's a cool watch. A con. I wish the LED screen stayed on the entire time. Now, I know that would kill the battery life, but it's kind of a hassle to grab that button to turn this thing on. I just miss looking right at my watch and knowing the time, but it's definitely one of the biggest cons that I could see on this watch, and it really kind of bothered me. A pro, though, is that it actually works well while driving. I tested this theory, and yes, I had to move my hand from the steering wheel to push the button, which I hated, but it was so cool to be able to look at the time. Now, I mean, this isn't probably like a problem that you think about on a daily basis, like, oh, I'm driving my car, I can't really see what time it is, but, you know, it's it's usually on your car. But it's pretty cool to think about that. You know, back in the day, this was a pretty innovative style for, I mean, specifically a watch. You know, this trapezoid and this unique shape definitely fit in with the decade of, you know, expression and crazy style. The 70s, this was a perfect style watch for the 70s. A con, though, is did that style transfer over to nowadays? Because I kind of think that people are looking at me like I got this watch out of an arcade machine, or possibly I'm a suburban rapper.
Yo, it's called hiphopbling.com.
So, I don't know if that style really transferred over, but I personally think this retro look is mighty neat, and it kind of goes with the whole Hawaiian shirts. So, I think it's cool, but that could be definitely one of the cons that I could see people saying. Pro. My girlfriend actually liked this watch. She was always asking for the time when, you know, she woke up this morning before she had to go to work. She kept on pressing the button trying to figure out what time it was, and I like the attention, but I secretly think maybe she just doesn't know how to read analog, because, well.
But.
Pro. It's got a pretty cool name. I mean, Computron sounds like something Marvel would create. Jesus Christ, I'm surprised it hasn't been a movie already, but it just got a really cool, vintage, yet tough sort of name for this watch. Pro. I also like the band. The band is really cool with that ribbed centerpiece. It just makes it bounce off the light so perfectly, and I think it's a really good looking watch, and that just comes back to the first Pro that I had. So, is this watch worth it? For $200, I really can't say for sure that I think this watch is worth it for the $200 price tag. However, if you are looking to buy it used, by all means, go ahead, search the market, because I'm sure you can find a good price out there for a watch this beautiful. I really don't usually like digital watches, but when I saw the funkiness of this watch, I just had to have it. So, all in all, I think that, Bulova went the right way when making this watch back in the 70s, and for reissuing it in 2019, there's always a market for reissued and vintage-inspired pieces. So I think they did a really excellent job executing that and making it look both vintage and stylish at the same time. Remember, my name is Bill. I'm not a watch snob, and neither are you. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Enjoy!